50 years from now, it's almost everyone's opinion that there might be another 3 billion more people to add to our population.
We are now 7 billion, and by 2015 we are expecting to reach 9 billion.
So we have to keep developing new crops and opening up new areas for agriculture.
Outdoor farming is the practice that we are familiar with. We plow the ground up, we dig little holes, we take seeds, we put them in the holes, we cover them over, and then we spray water on top of that, and we pray to the gods of agriculture that our crops produce huge amounts of produce. Compare and contrast that to hydroponic farming indoors, that is, farming without soil, but with nutrient-laced water. What if we moved the greenhouse into the city and stacked it on top of each other and made it into a tall building? How radical would that be?
We all know nowadays that producing livestock, it takes a lot of energy. People are demanding more animal products, more animal proteins, and we have to find an efficient way to supply these proteins. In vitro meat is better than the traditional meat for several reasons. First of all, it's much more efficient. Second, is safer. And third, is also ethical.
Synthetic biology, I think, is going to radically change the way we think about genetically modified foods. Because when you think about it, what is a genetically modified food? It's anything that we've selected or engineered to have a trait or a feature that we think is more worthwhile. We selected most of our food crops for features that make them more attractive, that make them tastier, that make them easier to grow.
In every new car, we have thousands of sensors detecting water pressure, oil pressure, temperature, and so on. We're going to have the same capability in food, right from seed to harvest to our table, so that we can monitor the efficiency and efficacy of our crops for richer nutrients, vitamins, freshness, safety.
For every indoor acre of farm you create, you could abandon up to 10 acres of outdoor land and still have the same amount of food, and let a lot of the land that's now being used for farming grow back to what it used to be.
One of the most important things is to be less dependent on Mother Nature. Find a way to create a closed system where we can produce our foods, and you can understand that this has a lot of advantages. We would be less affected by catastrophes. By creating a closed cycle, we can produce a better food.
All we're doing here is really getting on board with what nature does. We're just learning the processes and getting creative with it as humans.
If the plant has been genetically modified to improve its nutrition, I'm in favor of it. I think that's a great plant. To modify the plant to resist more herbicides, because the weeds are becoming resistant to the level of herbicides that are currently in use, is an absolute horrible use for genetic modification. And I won't tell you the companies or the countries that are embracing that technology, you can figure that one out for yourself.
I think there's a higher bar for ensuring that there's safety, but you have to balance that with the need for actually feeding people and taking care of people.
If you want to prevent agricultural runoff, if you want to restore CO2 balances in the atmosphere, if you want to lower the rate of climate change, if you want the earth to become in balance again and still have your food, then I think indoor farming inside cities is the answer.
In a world of accelerating technologies, our ability to make healthier food taste better, faster, and safer is also growing exponentially.
Biology is becoming an IT industry, and it's going to get extremely diverse and creative with a lot of players. I also think it's going to be one of the largest economic drivers of this century. It will literally lift people out of poverty and do so in a way with living systems, not machines. We are living machines, and food is how we fuel those machines. It's integral.